I was saying the concept of responsibility is closely connected to alterity, singularity. Bakhtin talks about the big time of literature. He's a big reader of Dostoevsky. And in Dostoevsky, Bakhtin picks up evidences in Dostoevsky, the importance that he gives, because Dostoevsky invents the modern novel, right? And what is the characteristic of the modern novel? Polyphony, the many voices. And so Bakhtin evidences how, if you look at Dostoevsky's characters, how do you say it in English? The man from the underground, right? There are stories where the man from the underground says, I don't want to have anything to do with this person, you know, I'll keep to myself, I'm not interested. There's discourse and dialogue that is condemning any possibility of dialogue with the other. And Bakhtin comments saying, this is Dostoevsky saying how dialogue and dialogism is absolutely inevitable. Even when I say I don't want to have anything to do with that person, I've entered a dialogue with that person, whether that person, that other, is the other of me or the other from me, right? So if anything, there's the fear of being rejected by the other that causes me to say, to be in denial, let's say, of that other. So Bakhtin studies Dostoevsky closely and really evidences the importance of dialogism there. And from there also the whole concept of the great time of literature. Therefore, the great time of literature, which he associates to the great time of responsibility, unlimited responsibility, which is also responsivity to the other, responsivity. So therefore, there's this discourse which is really interesting because it shows you what responsibility is and can be. Limited responsibility connected to a social role. I'm a military person. My job is to go into Gaza and get rid of Hamas. I'm doing my duty. This is my responsibility, my special responsibility as a soldier on a mission, right? But then there's if you go further in the great time, then there's the unbounded responsibility, the awareness that not only am I killing or trying to kill the terrorists, so-called terrorists, because this is another concept that needs to be discussed, I'm killing thousands and thousands of innocent people, children, women, boys, girls, men, etc.
You could say you could say that the novel, as a modern art form, does validate, you know, a documentation of singularity more than film. Film almost abstracts to the visual context the more, you know, the fin de siècle, whereas novel stays and gives a context to the individual, doesn't it? Utterance.
The utterance, yes, but the utterance is not necessarily verbal. The utterance, as described by
but I mean, in
is,
general, you follow.
Yes, certainly.
Whether it's stream, you follow this, and
powerful.
sometimes the outside world becomes a stream of consciousness of the discourse of one person.
The novel is powerful, but I would say all artistic discourse this is a characteristic of artistic discourse, because the vocation of artistic discourse is to project, to picture life, right? So it's not life in the first person. It's taking a step backwards and showing life in its greater dimension, right? Bakhtin speaks of the great time of literature. So we can actually understand ordinary life better in the light of literary life, literature, verbal literature, but artistic discourse in general, because that's what artistic discourse does. It pictures, it shows you how dialogism works, for example. whereas we're not aware of it when we're actually living life in first person. All this is very interesting because it connects up with the concept of modelling that I was talking about the other day. The human being, I said, is an animal, right? Like